Hi everyone, welcome Ronan.
Hey, Carlos.
And today it will be the chapter which starts like this. Always appreciate the present moment. Live it intensely, deeply and fully, here and now, because this is the secret of happiness. And it has a motto as well, which says, live the present moment as often as possible. Aim at existing intensely, deeply and fully, here and now. Live with frenzy the relationship based on mutual love, transfiguration, and sexual continence that unifies you with your beloved. So, we have a lot to talk about. Would you like to start?
Yeah, this idea of the present moment became quite famous and quite actually even practiced to some extent today with the whole movement of mindfulness that kind of became ubiquitous in companies and in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So there is already, I think, quite a good awareness of this need to anchor our attention in the present moment, in the here and now, as some people say. And in this chapter, what I find most beautiful is this idea that never, in under any circumstance, will the moment that is happening now repeat itself. So now that I am here talking with you through a computer screen instead of seeing you live, but I am talking with you. And for the people who are at home listening to us, this moment at home, maybe they are on the bus just swiping and they saw a story, but this moment when you fall into these words that are now being said, this moment will never repeat itself. And okay, maybe now you are on a bus or on the bathroom or somewhere very non-interesting, but maybe you are with the one you love at home and you don't even see them anymore. They became a piece of furniture for you, or maybe a commodity like an oven. It has a functionality. Sometimes it warms you up a little bit, but it's not something you actually see. It's not something you actually live. It's not something you are actually there, present in the moment when you are. So I think the first big shock that we can take out of this is how much of our life we are not living, how much of our life we are not even there to start with. We are somewhere in our head fantasizing about future past or just a problem we are trying to solve, and we are not actually there. And it's shocking. If we could measure this, it's shocking how much we are not living in reality.
And it is possible to measure it actually. I'm quite fascinated by these new devices that can measure your capacity to actually be, not just have this heart brain coherence, but to just be present without having this mental activity all the time. And in a couple relationship, I think it's so important also because, I mean, we are never the same person all our life. The person you are today is different than the person that you were 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and even a month ago, perhaps. So we are in a constant process of learning, of having new experiences, of contemplating new aspects, gaining perspective, and that makes us different. And within a couple relationship, if we are not present, how can we, for example, acknowledge the difference in the other one? How much the other one is becoming every day a new person that we can fall in love with again and again. So it's so beautiful also to see it from this perspective that the more we are present, the more we are also looking at the other one with these fresh eyes, not putting this label that, okay, I already know this, and searching for diversity somewhere else because it's kind of already familiar. Like you said, it's part of the furniture. I already know it, I have it there. But to see it as we saw in the beginning of that relationship, with that freshness, with that curiosity, with that wish to unpack and see what is there and discover it. And it was fascinating, right? And in reality, I see it that now that I'm trying to apply this every day in my couple relationship, every time he comes out of the room, I try to put this fresh eyes, like as if it's the first time.
Lucky
And
man.
what?
Lucky man.
But it's a process because it's so easy. If we don't do it consciously, it's easy to start to label it as familiar, like I know it, and lose that perspective. But then making this gesture, basically using the power of, first of all, being present, and many exercises, like you said, mindfulness, and also this breathing exercise, like using the breath to anchor us in the present moment, and everything we can use to be here and now, like the chapter says, makes us super more connected and aware with everything that is going around us. And then we will start to notice these things that if we are not present, we will not. We will not be there to witness it. And so it was really a revelation for me from this chapter, this capacity to try to seek the new in the same person that I know already for a long time, but with these eyes of actually, acknowledging in each moment, which is unique and never repeats itself, the other one and our dynamic and everything we are experiencing as if it would be the last time somehow.
Or the first.
Or the first, yes. It brings that intensity to the present moment.
Yeah, I once, one of my teachers told me that, do you think it's people driving around? It's just angels, because the people are not there at all. And that shocked me because I realized that me, myself, when I'm driving, or I was very inattentive. Like it's a great luck that I'm not crashing, because many times I get out of the house, I arrive to work, and the whole journey, I don't remember. I was not there. I was not even paying attention to the movements I was making with such a serious thing like driving. And it's interesting because it's the same in love. And you said it very right. I actually have the exact same perception. People go into the love relationships, and then that beginning is magical. There you are paying attention, but then it goes into the automatic mode. You are just leaving the relationship without you being there, and then you need something new. So you go to something else because something else will also be fresh, and then you get a new boost of enthusiasm, and after a while goes into the same. So you never actually go deep. You just have this little jumpy thing where you're jumping to different dopamine hits, let's say, like this. While in reality, the big process is exactly as you said, to start to be more and more present where you already are, to put more and
Mhm.
more of yourself where you already are, and to make sure that you are more and more part of your own life, specifically of your relationship. And I said lucky man because it is nowadays a rarity that you have a partner that actually sees you and sees you over time, is really there, present, attentive, focused. Nothing escapes their grasp. So you are going through your own process, your own life, your own objectives, your goals, and that person is just there with you and is renewing. And that's a word that our teacher likes very much, to renew the impulse, to renew the awareness, to renew the attention, to stay there. And at least in my experience with the women clients, that's one of the biggest complaints they have about men, is he's not really there. He's formally there. I mean, he does bring things to from one place to the other, but he's not there with me. He doesn't see me. He's not present. And I think this magic of the present moment is one of the easiest things to practice, but that is also one of the easiest ones to forget, because it's not appealing. If you don't do it consciously, if you don't consciously come back to listen to these words now, your finger is already ready to swipe to the next one. It became boring already. Let's go. And you never go deep. You never enter a profound relationship with anything that you are exploring in your life. And for that, this training of present moment, let's say, is absolutely fundamental.
The moments that we are truly present are the moments that become the memories that we hold most dear. It's never significant, something that you are not fully present. I notice that when I'm not present, I look back, like for example, how it was the last 2 months. And I remember few moments, but I cannot say every day, to highlight an aspect or to see, to even be aware of what made them different, even though they were completely different. I mean, maybe they have a bit of the same structure, but you never live the same moments, you never have the same interactions. It's always different. But because we are not present, we cannot even acknowledge that, how it can be so rich every day and so unique, with specific lessons, with specific, you know, moments. And the more you become aware, I feel that the more every day becomes meaningful. It's not just one more day. It becomes a day that can really make a difference in our growth, in our evolution, in the way we love, in the way we feel loved, in the way we feel connected, in the way life unfolds, because we are present. And for me, this was also a huge shift, that through practicing it, then every day became more meaningful. And I can look back and kind of spot, okay, yeah, this was the day that this happened and we did this, and, and we felt that, and wow, and we made love like this. And then the next day, it was a different nuance. And then it was like this. And we don't have this impression that the past 3 months was kind of a blurred cloud where maybe we just remember one moment that was really, like really a good moment to remember, but everything else was kind of gray.
Unfortunately, I think in the beginning, many of the relationships are lived in that non-present way. I mean, we are present in the beginning, we are present in the whole honeymoon period, I think. But then, especially if we have a busy life, if we have a routine that calls out our attention a lot, the relationship tends to become a second or third, or if we have children, a fourth priority. And it's very easy that we are not actually living that relationship anymore. The relationship is just a sidetrack of a very intense life. While when we give it the right direction, and we already started slowly mentioning that there are different ways to do things in relationships. For instance, it's a tragedy in my perspective how dramatically bad most intimacy people live today is. So even this, again, one of our teachers used to make this joke, how funny it is that we ask each other, was it good for you? Like, where were you? Don't you know if it was good? You were not there to witness the whole firework? Well, how do you not know if it was good or not if you are there? So it's one of the most beautiful parts of training, actually. It's kind of a training when you train yourself to consciously engage in intimacy, not as an automatic consumerist tendency to release a tension that you have built up inside physiologically as a desire for sexuality, but when you go consciously into intimacy and you use these beautiful ancient techniques and ancient wisdom of how to make it actually rise, you cannot actually do it without being attentive. So, as a side effect, because the chapter mentioned there the transfiguration, the amorous erotic continence, which is something we will slowly bring more and more into this podcast so that it becomes something that everybody in the audience can relate to. It's not possible to have these effervescent, intimate experiences in automatic pilot. It does not happen. You are either there and it rises, or you're not there and it can be meh, it can be okay. It can be pleasant, but the ecstasy, the experience of having an ecstatic moment comes with a full awareness, with a full presence, with a total engagement of all your being, not only half of it in the corner of your eye. And so I wanted to mention that for me personally, one of the delights of exploring this path is having principles that guide me to have to do things in a certain way that by its nature I already have to be attentive. So if I'm told that in intimacy I have to follow certain ideas and not just go there, well, automatically do whatever I want, that having to follow certain ideas puts me already in a state of awareness, of presence. And from there, it's easier to start to be both of us in the moment, so in that interaction that we are having, and then it becomes a totally different journey. There was an experiment made, I think was by psychologists, but I don't remember, where they were recording couples in intimacy over a period of time, and they were mostly shocked, the couples themselves, to realize they do always the same thing. They thought they were very creative, they thought they were doing something amazing there. They do always the same thing. They fall always into the same patterns. And it's just a routine like driving to work. You are just putting that, that movie playing, and now you're doing that, and then you're done. Is she okay? She's okay. He's okay. He's okay. Ah, okay. And we finished. While when you do it following the spiritual principles, it becomes a journey each time. So it is not something that repeats. Actually, as we said, as the book says in this chapter, nothing repeats. There is no two moments the same ever in your life. You are just not there to see how different they are. You are somewhere else. So yeah, that's my experience, and I think is one of the most precious things that this spiritual training brings, is that now I can just look at a flower, for instance, and she might not move much, but she's different every day, and there's a different shine and a reflection of the light, and it's so beautiful to see in everyday life these beautiful differences.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted just to close up this episode just to share that also you were saying that you have some women that are your clients, and that they were complaining or putting in the table that they feel sometimes this disconnection, that the other one is not present. And I wanted to share from my experience what I discovered also with my lover. I was feeling that he was kind of very concerned and stuck in his mental processes after work. And you know, when you arrive home, but you still bring the work with you, and you're also concerned with some things, and you're not so present. And because you're not so present, you're also not so connected. And I realized I was not managing to connect. And instead of just taking it, instead of, for example, being sad about it and not actively doing something, or when you let it drag, you know, and one day can become 2 days of disconnection, 3 days, and then, you know, it kind of becomes the new normal. I realized that I could actually inspire to change and to connect to that present moment through sensorial experiences.
Oh, wow.
So, and for me, it was like a huge thing because sometimes as women, we have a tendency to say, let's talk about it, you know, this classic thing. And men usually they don't want to talk about it because it's just going to make it worse. But it's our way to show that we care and that we are being supportive, because it's what we do with other women, is to kind of go to the men and want to talk about it. And that doesn't necessarily bring the presence and the connection that we are searching for. And so, what I felt inspired to do in that situation was, for example, to tell him that I would offer him a massage. And then I was just creating a little environment in my room and putting some oil and, you know, just being super present and super connected with my hands and with the touch, and consciously touching him in his body, not necessarily in a specific way, but with a lot of love and this state of presence. And then through that, you know, through that sensorial experience of touch, of pleasure, also like relaxing, which brings your awareness to the body and you let go of the mind and the stress, then he became hyper present. And when, in many ways, it was all there. And when he looked at me after the massage, he was totally connected and totally with me. And we didn't talk anything, it was just this. And so I feel this can also become a key for couples that they can like immediately try. That everything that becomes an intense and conscious sensorial experience can anchor us in the present moment. It has like this power because it's calling us to what's happening. So yeah, I just wanted to leave this note.
That's brilliant. I love this idea because you cannot smell tomorrow's flowers, you cannot taste yesterday's food. Everything that is on your senses, it's always now. Your senses function now. They don't function retroactively, let's say, or futuristically. So if you find a way to anchor into any of them, whatever is your favorite sense, your sensorial stimuli that you prefer, if you really pay attention to it, you are for sure now in the moment, right? And it's a brilliant. I really appreciate what you said, because that's such a loving way to nourish a man, such a loving way to, okay, he's disconnected, I need to talk, let me bring him into the present moment. And then probably you even realize that after he was there, the talk was not anymore so important. The talk many times is a wish to connect, is a wish to come closer, but that's not the most efficient way in moments when we are stressed or etc. to bring us together. A touch, for instance, is brilliant. I think it was such a, there you go, I tell you, very lucky man.
Thank you so much, Ronan.